riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, the 465 pounds of raw human waste to my Dave Matthews, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
I am extremely frustrated this week, Garrett.
Yeah, I do not doubt that in the least. I don't know how much of it you want to share, but might as well get into it. Why don't you tell the folks at home, the listeners, if you will, and I know some of you have even become viewers. Congratulations, by the way. That we didn't make it easy. But Tim, what have you been up to lately? What's got you so frustrated?
Well, first of all, there was the waiting for our furniture to be delivered, and then unpacking. Everything is broken. It's all broken.
So much of it is broken.
Yes. Usually, well, I won't name the company here, but the name will be in this episode. Pay attention. I'm also extremely annoyed with these interns, and I think that Tom B. Rady, by the way, did we ever discuss what the B stands for on this show? Because I looked up and I found his birth certificate. You know what his name is?
Is it Bartholomew?
No, Garrett, this is going to blow your mind. His name is Tom Brady Rady.
No, come on. I do not believe that. Coming from you, no way.
I'll show you his birth certificate. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that Tom B. Rady has convinced the interns to just mess with me at this point, and it is not in their best interest.
I'll agree with you there. Not in their best interest, but I just spent an entire week with Tom on a lovely vacation that you were supposed to be on, but instead we're not. We can get into why in a moment, but I do not think that he is actively organizing our ragtag group of interns to antagonize you. Why do you think that?
Well, I'll guarantee you they will not be organized by him in the future. We'll get into it. But I've been walking the dogs, Batman and Yogi, around Manhattan, around Central Park, and there's all these signs around the Big Apple that say curb your dog, and I did not know what that means. So I asked the interns, and they said that in the Big Apple, I had to pick up both dog poop and also pee. Okay, that didn't seem right to me. That didn't seem right to me, but I have noticed a lot of people have been giving me dirty looks when I let the dogs pee on the concrete. There's, so right. I decided to give it a try, and I did not understand how you could pick up a liquid with one of those bags. So I don't know how to pick up a fluid is my point. So I've been chasing them around trying to catch their pee directly in the bag so that I didn't have to pick it up. Long story short, this woman started laughing at me, and then she explained that they were lying and that I was the victim of bullying, and
I don't think that's what she said, but continue.
Garrett, I was trying to catch pee in a bag. It doesn't matter. The point is, Garrett, these interns were caned really extensively, and I'm gonna let you know, they flinch when I walk in the room, and I still don't know what curb your dog means.
Fantastic. You know what it doesn't mean, though, right?
It's not that. It is not that.
Right. Okay, couple holes in your theory real quick before we get into the song of the week. Tim, first of all, Tom hasn't even been here. Been with me. Couldn't have possibly organized this. Second, our interns, I don't care if they hear me, they're dumb. They're not smart.
Absolutely. That's why it couldn't have been them on their own.
No, here's problem one. None of them pulls out a phone, checks the internet. They confer within themselves like they're going to conjure up a solution to this problem. Just Google it. What does curb your dog mean? Guarantee you, first answer, right every time. You could Google it too. I understand why you didn't. That's why we have interns. It's their job.
Right.
But I think they're just incompetent.
What if Tom Rady asked that question from like hundreds of computers around the city, and then from hundreds of different computers answered that question, driving it up to the top of the Google answers, and said, you got to pick up the pee.
Sure. Okay. Listen, is Tom a prankster? Yes. So I won't rule it out. But I got to tell you, it seems unlikely. In any event, Tim, I've had a lovely week. Not that you asked or ever have on the show.
That's true.
Not a single time in like 300 episodes. But whatever. That's fine. As it is in real life, it shall be on the show. Bad friend. I've had a lovely week. A little bit of insight for everybody here. Every year, we pick the intern of the year, and they go on a retreat, and Tim and I trade off to make it fair. One year, they go on a retreat with me, the good years, they call it, and then the next year, they go with Tim, the terrifying year, as it's become known. Also, they colloquially call it the quickening. Not sure what that means. Whatever. As you guys know, couldn't have an episode last week because we literally did not have our things. What we didn't put on our backs and carry across this great nation was not with us in Manhattan. We'd been making do. You could hear Tim in his weird echoey chamber of a studio, and we were sick of it. We had to deal with it, knock a few heads around, figure out what was going on. But this was Tim's responsibility. We share responsibility. Tim dropped the ball so graciously, he was removed from the intern retreat, and I took his place. And Tim, I gotta say, you set it all up. I literally just took your vacation for you while you dealt with this debacle of your own creation. Still think it's your fault.
Vans and road rubber.
Oh my God, that was not coded at all. We discussed this. This is what we call an abusive platform, and I love it. Anyway, Tim set up a lovely trip to Angel Fire, New Mexico. Lovely Airbnb, really relaxing. We rented a dune buggy and a rock crawler. Maybe you might know it as a side-by-side. Tim, that was a great idea. Did some hiking, did some fishing, just really got to know each other. Would have been a great experience for you and Tom. I think you could have knocked down some walls, broken down some barriers, and made a real connection. Unfortunately, I got to do that for you. For me, it was great. So I'm relaxed. I feel great. Haven't felt closer to Tom yet. Gary and the Goat knocked out a few pilot episodes, not releasing them, probably. Maybe. I don't know. Did we get a URL? Maybe. Just saying.
I swear to fucking God.
All right, so that's how you're doing, and shockingly, that's how I'm doing. That brings us down to the matter at hand. Tim, what song have we been listening to for a couple of weeks straight?
We have been listening to Neil Diamond's most famous song, 1968's The Pot Smoker Song. This was suggested by Alex, who referred to me as P-Boy, which I think means piss boy, in a confluence of references I am just now beginning to understand. Fuck you, Alex.
They might be fucking with you. You know what? I've called you a piss boy so many times on this show, the interns might think of you as a piss boy. Hey, Tom. Great prank, buddy. Nailed him. And Tim, I owe you an apology. You were right. I think Tom pranked you.
He is. I'll give him this. He likes his pranks to have multiple layers. So
it's fascinating. It's like the Twin Peaks of pranks. I'm still learning about the pranks within the pranks.
Now that we live in the Big Apple, I was really concerned you were going to say it's like the Twin Towers of pranks. Really glad you didn't.
Tim, now that we are native New Yorkers born and bred, as they say, of the Big Apple, maybe we should retire I can't call it annual.
Oh my God.
What is the every episode? No. Let me finish. The every episode reference to the tragedy of 9/11.
How do you not know the word weekly? What is wrong with you?
I don't know.
Oh my God. Garrett, I'm going to ask you first because you're not moving this along as you should. Do you hate Neil Diamond's The Pot Smoker Song?
Goodness, no.
Right answer.
Yeah. Wow, you checked with Gino like he was a third base ump.
Yeah.
Checked the swing. That was weird. Gino gave it the nod. Tim, I don't even need to ask it, but I will. Do you hate this song?
No, I mean, I couldn't, Garrett. It's too weird to hate, but I'll say it goes beyond that. I kind of love this song, Garrett.
Kind of love this song.
Yes. To be clear, I am not in love with this song because there's been some confusion in the past.
Excellent distinction. You're right. Are you now? Let me ask you this: are you in lust with this song?
Yes, absolutely, Garrett. But here's the thing: it doesn't matter if you are in lust with this song or not. You can't. I mean, hating this song would be like hating Reefer Madness. It would be like hating my mother circa 1998. They're both just so wrong and insane and have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Both probably did some cultural harm. Both probably retarded our collective growth. But looking back, they're so silly. It's hard not to see as a parody in retrospect. Anytime from now on that Sweet Caroline comes on, I'm going to insist that everyone also listens to this song.
You are going to be a terror at baseball games.
Oh yeah. I'm not great with computers and I'm not great with sound equipment. But I know baseball stadium PAs. I can make this happen. It's the one thing. I don't know why I know it.
You can pick a lock.
Yeah.
You can get right on in there.
Yeah, and I own this on CD. So
yeah, weirdly. You don't hate it. I don't hate it. We both borderline love it. You may lust it, and we are definitely not in love with it. That is important. Before we get into the why, the how, and the what, I'm curious, Tim, what is your history both with Mr. Diamond and his pot smoking song? That is, again, not a parody.
I am a pot virgin. However, I am definitely not a Neil Diamond virgin.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I can attest to that.
Yeah, you should. You should attest to it.
Your ears have been penetrated by Mr. Diamond on multiple occasions, both voluntarily and without consent.
Absolutely. Now, I want to be clear. I have no interest in knowing whether or not you have history with Mr. Diamond. I know you have. That's not interesting. Have you heard this song, though, Garrett? Are you also a pot virgin, or are you a little bit of a pot slut?
No, total virgin on this one, Tim. Well, now, couple 1, 2.
Yeah, you're
hot
sloppy.
Horse, but, whoa, yay.
You've been used.
You've been alone too long. This is fun. Your language skills have deteriorated. Didn't think it was possible, Gino. Anyway, maybe we should get Gino a mic. What do you think?
No, absolutely not.
Good call.
I do not trust him to not just ramble in Italian, and we're going to have to bleep it because I'm sure we have listeners in Italy, and I'm sure that it is pro-Mussolini propaganda.
Yeah, I can guarantee you we have Italian listeners. I've seen the numbers. We've been taken down in that country.
Oh, we have.
For copyright violations.
Yeah, they hate our YouTube.
Yeah, if you guys are ever wondering, like, oh, that's funny, like, why isn't this episode on YouTube? It's because it was taken down.
Yeah.
They trying to silence us. Won't work.
Yeah.
Anyway, Timmy.
Us and that Loose Change movie. We are one and the same.
Please do not. Please, no. We are not one and the same. We are nothing alike.
All right.
Propaganda. Lunatics. Although by today's standards, honestly, they're borderline scientists.
Yeah, we have deteriorated a bit in the past 20 years. Anyway.
So we both came into this complete virgins. Now we're a couple 1-2 pot smoker song whores, and of course, lifelong Neil Diamond fans. Before we can get into the song itself, it is customary here on the show to learn a little bit about the man who made it. So Tim, take us on a journey and what I hope and suspect is a bit of a strange adventure to understand who is Neil Diamond and how did this weird-ass song come to be.
Well, Neil Leslie Diamond, in our pre-show interview, asked me to call him the Big D. Actually, he asked for more than that. He tried to incept me, Garrett. He said, you can call me the Big D. Now, you boys are from Texas, right? It's like Dallas. So you could even call me like Dallas if you wanted. And then we got into this whole thing. Essentially, the man wants to reintroduce his music to a new generation as sort of a hip retro thing. And he wants to use the name Dallas Diamond.
Is this sort of a Chris
Gaines?
What's his name? Chris Gaines situation?
No. He wants to literally rebrand himself and his previous music as Dallas Diamond. And I mean, it's a hell of a name, but it's a porn star's name, right?
No, yeah, maybe. But there's also a wrestler, right? Diamond Dallas Page.
Well, sure, okay, but like that guy did some porn.
No, you're thinking of Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But I guess that wasn't pornography. That was adultery that was filmed illegally.
That was adultery.
Poor Bubba the Love Sponge.
Garrett the Big D was born in a neighboring borough, Brooklyn, in 1941 to a family of Polish and Russian immigrants. And he lived most of his early life in Brooklyn, although his dad was in the army for a bit, and they moved the family for 4 years to Cheyenne, Wyoming, which, if my recollection of Cheyenne and Brooklyn are correct, pretty much the same thing. They moved back, though, to Brooklyn, and in high school, he was actually a choir member with Barbara Eugene Streisand, who he knew but stressed he was not close friends with. He said, "We were two poor kids in Brooklyn. We hung out in front of the Erasmus High School and smoked cigarettes." So, Garrett, they were smoking buddies just like you and I when I was not old enough to buy cigarettes. And you were. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. You must have been illegally acquiring cigarettes.
Yeah, from someone. Eventually, the family moved down the road to Brighton Beach, and he joined the fencing team. I was unaware of that talent when I did the pre-show interview with the Big D, but frankly, I was unprepared to parry Mr. Diamond's fletches and flunges.
I was going to say, would you have challenged him? Because you are a professional amateur fencer. fencer? Fences?
Mr. Diamond repeatedly stabbed me with a saber, but it was like it was in this
Playful
jovial kind of, it's friendly. It made it really difficult to get too mad at him.
I mean, did it break skin?
Yes, it did. I was not in my fencing accoutrement.
So
he was.
He just lightly stabbed you.
I should have known that he was going to do this because he came.
In full fencing regalia.
Yes. Anyway, the Big D got his first guitar on his 16th birthday and got to go to Surprise Lake Camp, which is a camp in upstate New York exclusively for Jewish children, which is something that they should be more wary of than they are. But Pete Seeger performed, and he saw other kids writing songs and decided that was something that he was into. He began taking guitar lessons and writing when he got back to Brooklyn, and this mostly presented itself initially as writing songs that no one heard and bad poetry to recite to poor girls at his school while he eye-fucked them. But unlike Gary, this worked for him, and other boys soon asked him to write poems for them, like some sort of Cyrano de Bergerac situation.
Weird.
My point, Garrett, is that maybe it was your terrible words and not the creepy rest of you that resulted in you being such an abject sex failure as a boy.
Please don't say boy. But, I was a lad, a teen, an upper teen. 16.
Upper teen. I think that's the colloquial
That's definitely
name
what
for
people
it.
say. How old was he? Oh, upper teen.
Yeah.
Perfect.
in there.
No, maybe that would. Is that better?
Well, I don't know. What I'm saying is perhaps it's not your face. Perhaps had you only had a Neil Diamond to write your poetry for you.
Well, see, I'd rather it be my face, because my face from then and my face now, not the same face, not even sort of the same face. Goddamn Mogwai gremlin situation, but in reverse, I guess. Anyway.
You are far hairier, and you were very scaly as a boy.
Weird. Continue.
After high school, Leslie moved to Manhattan, the best borough in the Big Apple, to attend BAU as a pre-med major on a fencing scholarship, and was a member of the 1960 NCAA men's championship fencing team, which beat Navy in the finals 65-57. However...
Boy, I had no idea that he was such a fencer.
Yeah.
And it's become a huge part of this episode.
Yeah, he's great at it. Trust me, you will not see it coming. But this was not what he wanted to do, Garrett. He planned to cure cancer. Later in his career, he would tell Larry King, I actually wanted to be a laboratory biologist. I wanted to study, and I really wanted to find a cure for cancer. My grandmother had died of cancer, and I was always very good at the sciences, and I thought I would go and try to discover the cure for cancer. This was not to be, of course. He wrote more songs at BAU and started playing them in Tin Pan Alley, or TPA, and dropped out of college just before graduating to take a 16-week contract for $50 a week to write at Sunbeam Music Publishing, and then he was not rehired at the end of that 16-week span, so he probably should have finished school.
Wow. I forget how old Neil Diamond is.
Yes. He recorded some songs as the duo Neil and Jack with a friend from high school named Jack, but no one bought these.
With a friend from high school named Ryan.
Yes. It did get Neil a solo contract with Columbia Records, though, and so he just completely abandoned Jack. He recorded a single with Columbia in 1963. It was reviewed really well, did not make the charts, and he was dropped from Columbia. He would spend the next 7 years writing songs for publishing houses, selling about one song per week, and allegedly having 35 cents per day to spend on food, which is $3 in current money, which in the Big Apple is not enough for food, or not enough for quality food. You can buy some street meat. Yes, okay.
You can buy some things that aren't food.
That's true. He started to have some success in 1965 to 66, most notably with the song I'm a Believer, which was made popular by the Monkees, and I was completely unaware he wrote that song.
Me too.
That stayed at the top of the charts for 7 weeks. Songs that he wrote were also performed by Elvis and Deep Purple. He then signed with Bang Records, a subsidiary of Atlantic, and released The Feel of Neil Diamond in 1966, featuring his first hit, Solitary Man, which almost everyone should know best from the Johnny Cash cover. He started opening for Herman's Hermits and The Who, and in 1967 he released Just For You, featuring Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, a song that most people probably know from Urge Overkill's cover on the Pulp Fiction soundtrack, but it is definitely 100% about grooming an underage girl.
Oh.
Yes.
That's a bummer.
It is. He tried to get out of his contract with Bang Records. That just resulted in over a decade of lawsuits back and forth, but in 1968 he was able to sign with Uni Records and release the possibly disgustingly named Velvet Gloves and Spit in 1968.
What do you mean possibly?
Well, I don't know what it means.
What couldn't it mean?
Fair enough. Yeah.
What does it mean that isn't gross?
You're absolutely. I retract it. The definitely disgustingly named Velvet Gloves and Spit, which featured
That's how I like it.
the song of the week. Oh my God. The
Not
vehemently,
me.
God
His
damn
words,
it.
not mine.
The vehemently anti-pot song that is 100% not a parody.
Not a joke.
Yep.
Yeah, not a parody. Well put.
Yep, and then he released Brother Love's Traveling Salvation Show in 1969. That same year, he moved to Los Angeles and recorded Sweet Caroline after seeing an 11 to 12-year-old Caroline Kennedy on the cover of Life in an equestrian outfit, which is kind of weird, but he would also later say that this was actually written for his wife at the time, Marcia, but he couldn't find anything that rhymed with Marcia, so he changed her name to Caroline. That does not make a lot of sense, though, because the only thing he does rhyme with Caroline in the song is inclined, I think, which doesn't even really rhyme with, it doesn't matter. The point is it's a nonsense story. But that song proved so popular that they reissued Brother Love's Traveling Salvation Show and included that as the final track, which was smart.
I like that song.
Yeah, it's a good song. He spent 4 months composing a song called I Am ... I Said, which would later inspire Dave Barry to write a column and then a book called Dave Barry's Book of Bad Songs, indirectly creating this very podcast. Also got some good tips from that book.
I didn't know that.
Yep, well, just this week. He really took off at that point. In 1971 and 1972, he sold out 7 shows at the Greek with a 35-piece string orchestra, then another run of 10 shows at the same place, which he turned into a double live album, Hot August Night. Also in 1972, he sold out 20 consecutive nights on Broadway, and then quit live performances because why would you continue? You've won.
Good Lord.
In 1973, he went back to Columbia Records for $1 million per album contract, first doing the soundtrack to the film Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which was a huge bomb. The album actually made more money than the movie. It peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200, won a Golden Globe and a Grammy. Then he released Serenade in 1974, Beautiful Noise in 76. He returned to touring in 76, wearing colorful beaded shirts so that people could see him without binoculars is his excuse, but I mean, come on. He loved them.
Still does.
Yeah, and he also did the band's Last Waltz. In 1976, Garrett, he was arrested for marijuana possession. Just throwing that in there. I guess he had changed his tune in the past 8 years.
Yeah, small footnote to that. I'm fairly certain they were raiding his house looking for cocaine.
They were, absolutely. If you think about it, Garrett, which one is worse for you? Which one is more addictive? Right.
Cocaine.
No. No. He released I'm Glad You're Here With Me Tonight in 1977. He duetted with Barbra Streisand and released September Mom in 1979, which included I'm a Believer and Red Red Wine, songs that he had done earlier in his career.
God, did he write Red Red Wine?
I believe so.
Weird. Every time I hear that song mentioned, I jump immediately to the UB40 cover. I think it's a white Canadian reggae band.
Oh, yeah. Gross.
They had one other cover they did. I don't
really
remember
irritating.
What it was. Yeah.
Oh, we should do that song. Fuck that.
Yeah, that's coming around.
Yeah. Anyway, 1979, he collapsed on stage in San Francisco and then had a 12-hour surgery to remove some sort of spinal tumor. From everything I read, I could not find exactly what it was, but it was presumably benign, so meningioma or schwannoma, probably. He thought he was going to die because of this, though, and he wrote a farewell letter to his friends, and then was in a wheelchair for a couple of months before he starred in the film The Jazz Singer in 1980 with Sir Laurence Olivier. It was poorly received, and Diamond won the first ever Worst Actor Razzie Award, but he had 3 top 10 singles on the soundtrack, so I guess it worked out. In 1982, Garrett, he wrote a song about the movie E.T. and almost got sued by Universal Pictures. That's weird. Yep. No one bought his 1980s records because they were terrible, but he was the most profitable solo performer of many years in the 80s. 86, I think, was the best that he did. And his song America became the theme song for Michael Dukakis's, I believe, successful 1988 presidential campaign.
No, that dude got in a tank and everybody started laughing.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, no, sorry. I need to read further in the lyrics. So in 1992, he performed at George H.W. Bush's Christmas in Washington and released 2 Christmas albums. Around this time, Sweet Caroline became a Boston sports theme, as well as the New York Rangers, Carolina Panthers, more than a dozen college football and basketball teams, Northern Ireland soccer, Hong Kong rugby, and it's still played to this day at every single home game of the Sydney Swans Australian Football League. I don't know why.
Go Swans.
Yes. In 2000, he wandered on stage at the House of Blues in LA while a tribute band, Super Diamond, was playing and just started singing with them, which is probably pretty cool for those guys.
I've seen Super Diamond.
Really?
Yeah, I saw him at the House of Blues in Dallas.
Did Neil Diamond come on stage and sing with them?
I don't think so.
You got ripped off. Rick Rubin tried to recapture his success with Johnny Cash and did a stripped-down album with this fella called 12 Songs that weirdly featured Brian Wilson. Did not capture the zeitgeist like those American Recordings albums did. He also released Home Before Dark in 2008, did a concert at The Ohio State University with laryngitis and had to offer people refunds, but they had to apply for those refunds by a certain date because, you know, most people aren't going to do that.
Jesus.
He released his 3rd Christmas album in 2009, Dreams in 2010. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2011, and in 2013 he released a song called Freedom Song, They'll Never Take Us Down. I think about the Boston Marathon bombing. We'll get to it. In 2014 he released Melody Road. 2016 he released an acoustic Christmas album. That is, if you're counting, his 4th Christmas album. In 2018 he announced he would stop touring due to Parkinson's disease, but he still does some rare performances. Mostly if you're giving him like a Lifetime Achievement Award, he will show up. In 2020 he did a version of, he did a COVID-19 themed version of Sweet Caroline. Hands washing hands, don't touch me, I won't touch you. Yeah, this is what he's doing with his life.
Get better writers.
In
You don't have to do anything. You're the voice. Just put your cigarette down for 18 seconds and mumble into a microphone. Bob Dylan can do it.
Yeah, but yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
In 2022, a musical based on Mr. Diamond's life, A Beautiful Noise, which, if you actually go to it, does refer to him the whole time as Dallas Diamond. So I think he's been.
No, I don't think that's true.
It is true.
I do not.
Go to see A Beautiful Noise, Garrett. It opened in Boston, then on Broadway. We could probably make this happen. Also in 2022, Universal Music Group bought his entire catalog, including 110 unreleased tracks and a fully complete unreleased album. So we might get more Neil Diamond. I hope it was from the earlier years. He is one of the best-selling musicians of all time, though, with over 100 million records sold worldwide and 10 number 1 singles. Garrett, this guy is doing okay. And, I mean, think about this. This is his most popular song.
It is not. Least popular, but that is about to change. About to get that WIHTA bump. You're welcome, Neil.
And on that note, Garrett, to make it official, La Face.
And a Shia LaBeouf to you.
Delightful.
Excellent history, Timmy. Quite interesting, diverse, and confusing. So many great Neil Diamond songs. Sweet Caroline, Travelin' Salvation Show, Pack Up the Babies and Grab the Old Ladies, 'cause everyone knows.
This is as good as any of those songs.
It is a steep drop-off in quality.
But it's great. You love it, though, right? You were not in love with it, but you...
Ooh, not in love with it.
Not in love with it, but aroused by it.
Definitely didn't say that. Okay, great history. That brings us to the song itself. Let's give them a taste before we dive into the pool that is the Pot Smoker song, because it gets deep quick, and I don't want to lose anybody. Load it up, Gino.
Pot, give me some pot. You get what you are, you can be what you're not.
Good stuff.
Really feels like a Family Guy parody, right?
Yes.
It feels like the audio equivalent of Reefer Madness, but that came out in 1936, and Neil Diamond put this out the same year that Hendrix released Electric Ladyland.
It is beyond perplexing.
Yeah.
The dichotomy. Okay, this is going to be hard to parse up. So let's talk about sound first before we get anywhere near content, obviously. Very cheery.
It is, but the song or the sound to it, to me, again, it has not even a parody. It has like a novelty song feel to it.
Yeah,
like
it's too saccharine to be real.
Yes, but
it almost sounds like a sitcom opening theme.
Yeah, that, or like it sounds like if you went to a knockoff Disneyland kind of an amusement park that exists as a one-off in Connecticut, and they had a dancing bears show. This would be the general type of music that those bears would dance to. Also, the bears are animatronic. I should be clear.
Welcome, boys and girls, to Abstinence Land.
Exactly. Yes, that is. Yeah.
Come take a ride with me through the tunnel of giving in to marijuana. Huh? Dad, where did you say we were going to Disneyland? This is better. Learning lessons, Christian lessons.
Yeah, but there's two different parts. Mr. Diamond sings part of it, and then there are the album. Let me read what the album sleeve says. It says, "Much credit for the Pot Smoker song must go to the kids of Phoenix House in the Big Apple. Without the cooperation and frankness of these young ex-drug addicts who are still struggling to find their way back, this quote-unquote song," and they actually put song in quotes, "could never have been done." We get Neil Young singing, we get Neil Diamond singing essentially the chorus, and then it's broken up by what I can only describe as testimonials.
Yes, it's spoken word with the music turned down of people in the grips of drug addiction discussing it, in some instances relative to their experiences with pot, but in many instances not really.
Yeah.
And we'll of course get into it. But do you think he was like, we'll contrast it, like the song will be so saccharine sweet and then the spoken word part will be devastating? Like a joke?
So maybe he heard that Simon and Garfunkel rendition of Silent Night where they just play that straight and then play the 6 o'clock news over it, and it's talking about Nixon bombing Vietnamese people.
Sure.
Although that might have come out after this. I don't know.
Timeline doesn't really add up there.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, maybe this inspired that. Anyway, the point is, it seems like he thought he'd really hit on something clever here, and it is not.
No, it's weird, it's jarring, it seems mildly irresponsible and disrespectful to the people involved.
Oh, sure, yeah. They would later... So, I read an interview, and it essentially said that the Pot Smoker song was essentially misdirected. After the song came out, he learned that, and I'm quoting here, "the real villain is heroin." What?
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but like, you can't release this song and then just be like, "Oh shit, forgot about heroin." Or I never knew about heroin.
Well, Tim, I was curious if we were even going to be able to tackle this song, given that you and I are a couple of 1-2 lifelong drug-free Americans, don't have a frame of reference, heard about them for sure, never ever taken them, but I feel like we're still able to critique this song based solely on the fact that I don't know that Neil Diamond at this point had ever had any drugs.
Sure. And we can also just pretend like we could just assume, like, what if we had done drugs and just imagine,
Right. We'll do our very best to imagine the experiences and speak from that point of view in detail.
Yes.
Okay, so as we mentioned, we're going to hear a little bit of music, but mostly it's spoken word, and it is fascinating, sort of. I think we'll move through it pretty quickly. Tim, I assume you'd prefer me to sing the entire song, is that?
Absolutely. I was going to if you weren't.
Kicks off, la 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 pot. Pot, give me some pot. Forget what you are, you can be what you're not, etc., etc. I won't sing the whole thing, though I absolutely love to.
I want to get high. You never give it up if you give it a try. It's clearly a parody of a novelty song, making fun of the squares of 1968.
Right.
But
if we
not.
really look at what... Yeah, but it's not. Again, folks, this is serious. And again, so please go listen to it. If you didn't listen to it, pause, go listen. The fact that it comes out of the same guy who's Sweet Caroline, but with these lyrics is insane. How did nobody go, hey, Neil, for like 80 reasons? No. Mostly it's just terrible.
How is this?
But anyway.
But this is what I'm saying. How does this song not overshadow his career? How is every time you hear Sweet Caroline, somebody doesn't immediately been like, have you heard the Pot Smoker song?
Well,
You
they will
should.
now, Tim.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely. So he's saying you ought to go out. I think the cheery nature, in all honesty, I do believe that he took such a cheery approach to the song in order to reflect the laissez-faire attitude that people have towards marijuana, with the message that it's a gateway drug and that's how it starts. But eventually you're going to be doing the things that we're about to describe. And, it all started with marijuana.
Well, sure. But to be clear, what he says here is that marijuana is incredibly addictive. He says,
Yes.
high, I want to get high. You never give it up if you give it a try. A single time of smoking the, what do we
One and
call
done.
it? Grass? Is grass a cool term? One time.
Devil's lettuce.
One time smoking the DL, and you will never be able to quit.
Very hip. Yeah, that's what he's saying here. Don't even look at it, Tim. It's like a siren on the rocks. Pull you right in and smash your dumb little face. And then we get, Tim, just after that brief little bit, we go right into the spoken word. And folks, I'm going to prepare you. Yeesh. We could take turns. How do you want to read this, Timmy?
I mean, you read the first, I read the second, and then we read the third in unison.
Beautiful. This gentleman says, I started when I was 13 and I saw some people smoking pot and I bought myself a nickel bag and I went behind my building and I sat on a bench all by myself. And I smoked that bag, until I finally got high. Pause. That is addict behavior already. It doesn't, regardless of what it is, could be coffee, could be candy. He could have been there sitting there with a bag of gummy worms. That statement, I saw the people with the drugs, I purchased the drugs, I took the drugs by myself to a secluded place, and I did them until I got high. Then he continues. I started with pot because I was curious, and at that time I was having problems with my family. Pause. Again, red flag, trouble at home, family problems, looking for escape. We continue. Same guy, just to be clear. I remember on one trip I was at a party and I got sick from speed, from meth, and I used to shoot it in my spine. I also used to shoot acid in my spine, and I had too much. I was building a big thing up over a week, and I got sick. And I tried to commit suicide. So the implication, Tim, is that it started with pot, and as we've all heard 100 times, almost the next day, he is taking meth and acid and injecting it into his spine.
But see, maybe that's not what happened, Garrett. Maybe
injecting weed into that
Exactly. He had to build up on the pot. He had to make sure that injecting stuff into your spine was safe. So he started with what he knew.
He started with what seemed like a better idea than both being capable of being liquefied, or at least maybe even being liquid form when he received them. But I'm picturing, this is going to be lost on you probably, but there used to be an infomercial guy named Ron Popeil, and he had the solid flavor injector, and it was a big plastic syringe.
Yes. Yeah.
That just stabbed into meat, and you could put garlic cloves in the center of a roast. I'm picturing that, to be clear.
Yeah. Well, so the other thing,
just with marijuana, dry flower.
Well, but here's the problem, Garrett. We all know that, well, we don't, but a drug user would know you can't just eat a bunch of pot without
right. That's not how it works.
Right. You have to cook it, you have to burn it, etc. So what I'm imagining is he's got an open syringe, he packs it full of marijuana, he lights that thing up. Once it gets really nice and hot and burning, he injects that into his spine.
God, what you and I are describing are horrific. At least your way, he might get high. I mean, he's going to get burned. My way, he's literally just putting flowers in his spine.
Well, I feel like either way, there's going to be some fairly serious paralysis.
Yeah, no, not a good idea. Don't do drugs in your spine.
Anyway, then the music kicks back in, or at least turns up, and we get Neil Diamond singing again, La La La, pot, pot, gimme some pot, forget what you are, you can be what you're not. Do, take a family cruise, you with your grass, mom and dad with their booze, ooh, la la, la la. And he's got a fair point here, right? It is a bit hypocritical for the, 1960s, 1970s, I'm picturing army dad,
right,
to be the kids, they're all smoking pot while he drinks beer. That's a little hypocritical. That's fair.
Yeah, if the greatest generation comes back from the war and manages to tamp down the horrors of what they've seen and done with a sixer every night and maybe a couple of slaps to Johnny before he goes to bed, well, that's called grown up time. But if you want to get high, you're a goddamn burnout and a loser, and you're not going to live under my roof. 60s were weird.
Now, your brother's name is Johnny.
I'm sorry, what?
Nothing. Never mind.
Fair enough.
It's not important. And then we get some more
vocals.
Yeah, vocals.
Spoken words. Some more testimonial.
I think testimonials is the correct term. So the music goes back down, and this is a girl this time saying, "I was so sensitive, like my family. There was so much going on in my family, and every little thing bothered me. When I started using drugs, I just didn't care. Nothing bothered me. Nothing hurt me. I didn't feel anything." Now, for a teenager, this is a ringing endorsement. Delightful.
Right? I literally wrote, not a bad commercial for drugs.
Absolutely.
And to be clear, seeing a trend. Second testimonial, right up top. Really bad family life.
Yep. I didn't care if I lived or died. So I didn't care if I shot dope or took an OD. This might not be real.
Well, it's 1968.
Fair enough. I was so unhappy. I felt so unworthy. From the time I was growing up, I think, I have two older sisters that are twins. The three of us used to compete for our father's love. I always felt like he loved them more. He used to tell me this.
I knew it was coming and it still got me.
I always felt like he loved me more. He used to tell me this, he used to say, "You're unworthy. You're not as good looking as your sisters. You're not this like your sisters. You're never going to be anything. No one's ever going to love you." There was a lot of pressure.
Jesus.
Now, here's the thing. There wasn't a lot of pressure. None.
Sure. Actually, I feel like there was a lot of pressure.
No, Garrett. He already dismissed her. She can do whatever she wants. She can do a bunch of H if she wants. It's not going to make it any worse. I guess so. My point, though, is, it's very, she's painting this picture where her father sits her down and says, "You're unworthy. You're not as good looking as your sisters. You're never going to be anything. No one's ever going to love you."
I don't think drugs were the problem.
Yeah.
I think it was this dad. Also, did you mention this guy was a rabbi?
Oh, was he? Did I write that down?
No, yeah, I don't think you did. I took another pass at your transcription, got a couple extra words. Maybe she said he was a bad guy, but I'm pretty sure I heard her say he was a rabbi and there was a lot of pressure,
Oh, okay. Bad guy makes more sense, but I like to think that she was a rabbi. That's
I'm almost
delightful.
certain she says he was a rabbi. In any event, Tim, again, drugs aren't the problem here. It's a bad dad.
Yeah.
A bad dad.
Yep. Drugs seem to be almost a solution. Maybe we should think about that.
I'm thinking about it. Lifelong drug-free American. Thinking about those drugs hard.
Yeah.
And of course, then after that, we do go back into the song. He says, "La, la, la, pot, pot, give me some pot. Forget what you are, you can be what you're not." Sorry, I love it. I love it. Tough, tough, the world is so tough. And when it gets harder, you can try stuff. So is he mocking people saying, "Oh, well, you're just saying the world's so tough, you've got to escape with your rabbi father who says you're not as pretty as your sisters and your difficult life situation where you don't care if you live or die, and so you take some drugs to escape the pain"? Is that what I'm to believe here?
Gary, you have to understand, this is a guy that went to BAU on a fencing scholarship.
Oh, excuse me. La-dee-da.
That's
also,
right.
This is just for you and me. We'll almost certainly cut it, but the spine, I used to shoot it in the spine. I don't know if it jumped into your head, but so last night somebody tried to rob the bar. Whatever did you do, Mo? I grabbed my gun and I managed to shoot him in the spine.
The word "managed" there is so goddamn genius.
And they all applaud. Anyway, then we get to our third testimonial. And Tim, I don't know, do you want to take it? Do you want me to take it? What are you feeling?
I think I want to. Is that weird?
Wow.
Is that weird?
It's unusual, but I support it.
All right. The third one goes, I never felt like I was much of anything in my whole life. I was looking for love somewhere and I wasn't getting it anywhere. I was never happy. I always felt on the outside. Actually, as much as I would like to deny the fact that pot was the beginning of my usage of drugs, it's a fact. It was the beginning of my use of drugs. It was the first thing I touched in the drug field. I was told it was innocent by everyone that surrounded me, people I looked up to as intellectuals and smart people. They told me nothing was wrong with pot. You'd never graduate to anything else. Now I can walk up the street here about a block and see those same people using heroin.
So it seems to confuse pot being the first thing he tried with it being some sort of lure to heroin. Like they're colluding.
Well, this is always the funny thing because for like the whole like reefer madness through about this time, every time somebody's like, oh yeah, pot, yeah, it's just as bad as heroin. It's kind of a Cobra effect kind of thing because inevitably those people are going to smoke pot. Instead of being like, well, they were clearly lying, you think like, I guess heroin's probably not that bad. This isn't that bad.
Some sort of reverse Boy Who Cries Wolf?
Yeah, Cobra effect.
Cobra effect. I'm not familiar.
Oh, it's probably an apocryphal story about this village in India that the government, they had a cobra problem. So the government started offering $1 if you killed a cobra and brought it in. And so people, as you would, started farming cobras so that they could then kill them and bring them in. And then the government found out about this. And so they canceled the whole policy and people didn't want to farm cobras if they weren't worth $1 a piece. So they let them go and they had more cobras than they started with.
Yikes. I was just going to say a lot of these people seem sad and we're inevitably going to turn towards harder drugs.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if your father is literally sitting you down on his knee to tell you you're not as good at looking as your sisters. First of all, I feel like a father shouldn't be judging his children specifically on their looks. That's weird.
I'm picturing the conversation and as horrific and crushing as it must have been to hear. It is very funny to picture.
The Garrett
Rachel,
Harvey story.
Tiffany, Diana, my little angels. Could you two give us the room? This is just for me and Rachel. Rachel, have a seat, young lady. There's something very special I want to tell you. You know how beautiful I think your sisters are? Yeah? You are nothing like them. You are garbage. I think that you will amount to absolutely nothing. You should not even try. And honestly, I am upset that we ever had you. Okay.
No one's
like, what do you
ever gonna
say to
love
that?
you.
Good night, sweetie. Girls, you can have the room back. Okay. Thanks, Dad. Honestly, it's more direct, but my parents weren't like that far off. Like they would do shit like, hey, can I come with you on this such and such road trip? Ooh, love to, but guys who get B's in geography aren't going to be able to help me with this map, so probably not.
And then you didn't get to go.
Right. Then I did not get to go.
Because they stuck to their guns. It wasn't a bit. That's where we learned it. Nothing on this show is a bit because of Garrett's parents.
I don't put it all at their feet. Sure, yours did a number on you. Look what you do with a day-to-day basis.
Oh, I had great
Also,
parents.
could you please stop referring to yourself as Tim in the city?
I mean, when I'm not in the city, I won't. If you would like to go to the Hamptons or Long Island, I will absolutely refer to myself as Hamptons Tim or Long Island Tim.
God damn it. Also, I don't
Long
I don't know
Island
when it's-
Ice Tim. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, I do
Co-
co-sign that. You are to maybe you'll stop ordering Cosmopolitans now.
Again, in the city, I'm Tim in the city, and I drink Cosmopolitans.
God. All right.
And IPAs.
Let's see.
I really enjoy some of the IPAs they have around here.
None of it's a bit. Okay. So let's see. He wraps up with yet another verse, aka chorus, with a slight twist on things. He says, pot, give me some pot. Forget what you are. You can be what you're not. Hip, hip. You want to be hip. You're no one at all if you don't take a trip. Implying that you're just doing it out of pure pressure and everybody should want to be the kid in middle school who says, oh, no thanks, guys. I don't do drugs. Yeah, they get all the ladies.
Yes.
And friends. Let's see here. That's pretty much it, Timmy. Of course, that brings us to the music video, which... Oh, no, that's not it. I'm sorry. How dare you let me almost escape without bringing up one last line. So they do have a little bit of interspersed spoken word underneath the chorus this time, so it's very, very hard to hear. But I did pick up one sentence, Tim, and one sentence from a voice that I didn't recognize the entire song says, we used to say ride the pink horse down Nightmare Alley. What? More from him, please.
Yeah.
What did you do? Because the other guy injected meth in his spine, and your thing sounds scarier.
Yeah.
God. Pink horse down Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, you have a nightmare bear, though.
Yeah, sure, but we don't talk about Gordon.
What chewed his face off, Garrett?
Fuck, I don't want to talk about it, Tim.
He chewed his own face off so he couldn't be recognized.
My God. Tim, how'd this thing do?
No idea. This was not a single, and I have no idea.
Love it. What did people think of it?
Well, there is exactly one rating on Amazon, 5.0 out of 5 stars on average, 100% 5 star, 0% 1 star. That person didn't leave a review, though. So I went to YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Repa Chirp Firewalker 2 years ago said, "Love the way this was put together. Loved him since my mom and dad would only let me listen to this when my friends at school listened to AC/DC and Kiss. I wasn't allowed." Callister 33 10 years ago. "I was 13 when I first tried it with my older 30-year-old half-brother. He let me try it for the very first time when I was visiting, seeing my baby niece for the very first time. All it did was make me break into the uncontrollable giggles and made me hungry as heck. I ate like a horse. I basically ate my brother out of house and home. LOL. I cleaned out the refrigerator. LOL. It just mellowed my brother out, but watching me bust up laughing nonstop, he broke into laughter then too, thinking I was nuts. LOL."
Oh, God. 30 and 13? That's a bad bro. We got bad dads and bad bros. That's no. If you're 17 and your brother's 13, yeah, you're young enough to make that mistake. But the older you get, the older that little brother needs to get because, you know, you get older and you're like, yeah, I shouldn't give this to a 13-year-old.
That's fair. Especially if he's there visiting his baby niece for the very first time. LOL.
Yeah, babies are squirmy. You could drop that baby.
Yep.
Do that bee.
One more. This is a very, very serious one. A kind of a downer from Bride of P-Funk. It seems that many people here find this song very funny. Really, quite a joke. "My family has been broken by the drug use of a close family member. 25 years of reasoning, excuses, intervention, soul-searching, and heartbreak. It all started with a little quote-unquote harmless pot smoking. Someone with a much higher than average IQ who could have made a positive impact on society has, instead, spent several years in prison whilst blaming the world for their downfall. We are rebuilding from the ground up, but it's not over yet. Please think before you laugh. A chance meeting? A bad decision. It could happen to you, because it really does happen in the best of families." Now, Garrett, I read that one because I've noticed you've been a little cavalier this whole episode, laughing at the pain of the Bride of P-Funk.
Oh, no. Don't ascribe it specifically to that person whom I've never met and up until this moment didn't know their story.
Garrett,
This is a postscript.
you know the Bride of P-Funk.
I do not.
No.
Thank God you had me for a half a second there. Yikes. Tim, that's a bummer. And also inaccurate.
Well,
For so many reasons that
ruined that guy's life. Or ladies.
Sounds like that guy ruined his life, though.
It does, yes. With pot.
Nope. Sounds like all the other things he did after the pot.
Oh, fair enough.
Seems like if he'd stuck with the pot, not a lot of problems.
I guess that's probably the theme of this episode. Stick with the pot, you'll have no problems.
Yeah, you know, of all the advice you've given ever, that's definitely among the least harmful.
Sure, like top 8, yeah.
Easily. I might even say top 5. Maybe. I don't remember everything you say because, you know, it's horrifying.
That's why we record it.
Absolutely. Alrighty, Timmy. That brings us to final thoughts. We've been all the way through it. Not a lot of evolution on my side, and I doubt yours as well. So let's get right on down to it. After having all the comments in the world, having read it all, the testimonials, the shocking accusations, and horrific, and kind of interesting drug use, do you hate this song?
Oh God, no, Garrett. It is insane. It's ridiculous. There is no reason for this to exist, but I am extremely glad that it does. Every single sexy party mix I make from this day forward, right alongside those Slipknot choice cuts that Corey Feldman, those Lulu songs, will have Neil Diamond's The Pot Smoker song on it.
God, you really know how to ruin a good time.
I sure do. Garrett, do you hate this song? Did you get there?
No, of course not. No, it's great. Folks, go listen to it. It's awesome. It's asinine, and it's almost impossible to listen to and keep in mind it's not a joke.
Yeah, it does trick you repeatedly, but let me ask you this, Garrett. Follow-up, semi-related question. Since you don't hate it now, did you fall in love with it?
I might have a little, you know? I felt a tingle.
Yeah, you always do.
Nope, not always. Way to ruin the transition, Tim. That brings us to listener mail. Do you want to go first or do you want me to?
Oh, I absolutely want to go first, Garrett. This is from Wyatt, who, based solely on that name, might be a cowboy.
Do you think it might be Wyatt Russell? Kurt Russell's kid?
I was going to guess Wyatt Earp.
Oh, well, it's definitely not Wyatt Earp. He's dead. Played by Kurt Russell, though, right? I think so.
He wrote,
Tombstone?
He or she wrote, really love the show. Always listen when a new episode comes out. I love listening to older episodes after new one comes out and seeing the decline in Garrett's mental state. Also, I couldn't ever find the feed, so I just watch you guys from oh my God. So I also couldn't ever find the feed, so I just watch you guys from my window when you're recording and also when you're not recording. That cup of coffee, quote unquote, also unlocks the door for me when you guys sleep, which is weird because he doesn't even touch the door. But I gotta say, love the world headquarters, even though it smells like sulfur. It does smell like sulfur. That checks out.
That's accurate. Yeah.
Anyways, love the show. P.S. Don't investigate why some of your interns have gone missing. I'm only borrowing them. That's nice.
Yeah, we didn't even notice.
Yeah, I'll return what's left when the quote-unquote trials are finished.
Goodness.
Ominous at the end there. Wyatt, stop.
Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of crimes in that email.
Yeah, threats of new crimes, admissions of old crimes.
And we're not against it per se, just for your own protection.
Almost everything you do.
Oh.
Keep listening to the show. That's good. And listen to the older episodes too.
But the kidnapping and the trespassing and the
decline in Garrett's
Tim's hair
mental
and skin
state. Yeah.
cells. What'd you say?
The decline in Garrett's mental state is
Oh,
mentioned.
yeah, that's accurate. Yeah. Putting spiders in Tim's mouth while he's sleeping.
Oh, yeah.
That's my job.
Yeah. I crunch him up. The thing, you can actually test this out. If I lay my head back, asleep or not, you could knock me out with propofol. You put a spider in that mouth, I naturally crunch down on it.
That's evolution.
Yep, absolutely. Garrett, was that your email?
No, it was not. I have an email from Andy.
Oh, all right.
With an IE.
Oh dear.
Yeah, not that Andy. Oh dear. Apologies, Andy. Andy writes, God damn it, you guys. Announcing during the last podcast that it was the, quote, final episode was absolutely sadistic. So I guess it's a few weeks old. Causing elevated blood pressure, utter panic, and sudden incontinence. In the brief moment, I thought it was true.
Oh, okay.
I
was imagining this might have been a person who just stopped listening and was never going to hear this because they just assumed it was over instead of season 2.
Right, the seasoning. Speaking for myself and probably other fans of the show, we prefer listeners, and I know some of you are viewers, but we refer to you as listeners. I think you both should offer good faith tokens of commitment in the form of lower back tattoos, blazoning honky-tonk badonkadonk.
Done. Can it have an arrow pointing down at my badonkadonk?
Fantastic question there, Timmy. Andy writes, yes, you may personalize your own tat with embellishments such as butterflies, angel wings, hearts, but not swastikas, Confederate flags, or silhouettes of Joel Osteen's head. Interesting list. Also, when I said, but not swastikas, Confederate flags, or silhouettes of Joel Osteen's head, the not is in quotes.
Interesting. I don't know.
It's a grammatical
it might be somebody that's really used to writing on Reddit, because I feel like you have to do stuff like that to make it in italics or bold or something.
Sure,
I don't really know how it works.
I don't know, we're old. Great. Anyway, obviously subsequent feeds must be shirtless or tube-topped. Thank you for your imminent agreement, Andy.
I feel like I'm going to make a whole series of workout videos in which I teach the proper form to do squats, prominently displaying this tattoo above my now squat-embellished badonkadonk.
I want you to do all those things, Tim. Really get those views up or down.
Yeah.
I don't know which.
Well,
we'll see.
It'll go one way.
Yep, it will definitely go one way.
Cool.
Great. That brings us to music news of the weird. Tim, do you want to go first, or would you like me to?
I will go first, I think, because I have a lot of news.
Again, okay.
Music news of the weird.
Garrett, in Drake is a creep news this week. Drake is a creep. You see, he was on vacation and he went to a restaurant and saw a lady there that he thought was sexy. I guess she had the boobs or, whatever he's into. And so he decided to post a photo of her but she's literally looking at her phone, and he is taking pictures of her to post it to Instagram, where he has 117 million followers. And while we're on this topic, give us a fucking follow, you bastards. We don't have anywhere near that many followers.
Yeah, are you telling us we're that much less good than Drake? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But Drake, or Aubrey, if we were going to call him what his mother wanted to call him, posted a photo of this lady at the restaurant with the breasts and everything, saying, tried to airdrop this woman a picture of herself because she's a dime. This is not...
It's not okay.
Yeah. You should stop posting pictures of strangers on your Instagram and then kind of inviting your followers to comment on them, you fucking jackass. This is not the level of class one would expect from somebody named Aubrey Drake Graham, and I cannot believe that Miriam McDonald would be okay with this, and she was Degrassi herself. Here's the problem, Garrett. This man simply does not value the privacy of others, so I invite you, the loyal listener, get a picture of Drake that he would not want people to see, and post that to Instagram. Maybe a picture of Drake pooping, or if you can't find that, maybe a picture of yourself pooping, but then do one of those deep fake things to make yourself look like Drake, and then post those everywhere.
Check your state laws, because some states I think that's super illegal. Maybe it's federal now.
Of you doing that, and then deep fake yourself into Drake, and then just post that, because fuck him, that'll learn him.
Don't commit violent crimes. What is wrong with you?
Here's the thing, I'm not suggesting you commit violent crimes. I'm saying if you
stage violent crimes.
No. If you are already going to commit a violent crime and planning on videotaping yourself doing this,
then frame Drake.
Frame Drake. There we go. I think that's nice and legal.
Hashtag frame Drake.
Hashtag frame Drake.
Drake's a creep.
Absolutely. Garrett, what news do you have for us this week?
Well, Tim, in Kid Cudi is no substitute for Kanye West news. This past weekend, as we are recording, Kid Cudi was no substitute for Kanye West at the Rolling Loud Festival on July 22nd. Cudi had stepped in when Kanye backed out at the last minute, as he is wont to do, but once he took the stage at the performance, fans went quickly to heckling and throwing things during Cudi's songs. Finally, he screamed into the mic, quote, "I will fucking leave if I get hit with one more fucking thing. If I see one more fucking thing on this fucking stage, I'm leaving." End quote. A fan then promptly nailed him in the side of the head with a water bottle, and Cudi left the stage.
Goddamn, that man's a hero.
Well, I thought so too, Tim, but there's a twist.
It was Kanye West.
Well, the audience began chanting Kanye, and Lil Durk took the stage. He then brought up none other than Kanye West. Kanye belted out his hit, "Father Stretch My Hands Part 1" from the now epic episode on the Life of Pablo album, I guess, which the rapper recorded with vocals from Cudi. Apparently, Kanye and Cudi are in a massive feud after Kanye called Cudi out for being friends with Pete Davidson, and he responded by calling Kanye a, quote, dinosaur. I'm not sure who got the last laugh. Cudi got paid, Kanye performed for free, but he also got made to look like a clown when somebody nailed him with a water bottle in the face.
I think it's pronounced Kid Cutie.
Is it Cutie? Cutie?
I don't know.
Kid Cutie?
Never said it out loud before.
I would say Kid Cudi, because cutie sounds bad. Also, I don't trust your ability to speak English. It's historically wrong.
Fair.
But hey,
I really enjoy just undermining your confidence.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tim, what other news do you have?
In Submitted by Smitty News, it seems as though Pat Benatar, singer of Garrett's fourth favorite song of all time, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, will no longer be performing Garrett's fourth favorite song of all time, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, due to gun violence. No, I know what you're thinking. I did not threaten her with gun violence if she continued to perform Garrett's fourth favorite song of all time, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, nor did I actually commit any gun violence for the same reason. And I would not have done this in an attempt to stop Garrett from dragging me to Pat Benatar concerts to hear his goddamn fourth favorite song of all time, which is, to be clear, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. The real reason is that she thinks that song's about gun violence, I think. Either she misinterpreted her own song, or the rest of us were really misinterpreting it, possibly due to incredibly poor songwriting that completely obscured the actual meaning, or possibly Miss Pat is trying to jump on some sort of bandwagon here. But talking about
anti-gun violence?
Yes. Or
I can get on board with that bandwagon, I think.
No, but the bandwagon is like pretending to care. That's the bandwagon.
Yeah, it's a pointless protest.
Right.
All it does is hurt your fans.
But talking about the songs she will be playing live in the future, she said, "We have what we call the Holy 14. Songs that if we don't play them, you'll give us a hard time. And we're not doing Hit Me With Your Best Shot, and fans are having a heart attack." And I'm like, I'm sorry. In deference to the victims of the families of these mass shootings, I'm not singing it. I tell them, if you want to hear the song, go home and listen to it. The title is tongue-in-cheek, but you have to draw the line. I can't say those words out loud with a smile on my face. I just can't. I'm not going to go on stage and soapbox. I go to my legislators. But that's my small contribution to protesting. I'm not going to sing it tough. Now, this is a song about trying to sucker somebody into banging her.
Oh, I always thought it was like like making it in the biz.
Now, Garrett, you're a real tough cookie with a long history of breaking little hearts like the one in me. Before I put another notch in my lipstick case, you better make sure you put me in my place. Hit me with your best shot. It's a song about, like...
Big loads?
No, Garrett, this is a guy who is banging lots of ladies. He's putting notches on his belt. Or
no, she's putting notches on her.
Right.
She's putting notches on her lipstick.
That's the twist. She's banging she's using him. But yes, she wants, I don't know, the loads or whatever you said. Gross.
Right. So he's walking around cock of the walk, some sort of coxman, as you like to say.
I do like to say that.
With the mad skills in the bedroom. And she's like, all right, bitch boy, bring it on then. Let's see what you got. Hit me with your best shot, which of course we all know is synonymous with huge load.
Right. The point is that it's either it's not a song about gun violence or it's the most upsetting song I've ever heard because she's sexually into gun violence, if it is in fact about gun violence. That's
because her description of why she's not playing it directly draws a link. She's like, I can't say those words out loud because they remind me, of course, her words, not mine, of course, of gun violence.
Right. It's a weird...
And not somebody who has a buck wild fuck style.
Right. Garrett, what buck wild fuck style news do you have for us today? Make it thematic.
Ooh. I don't think I can. I've got 3 more stories and none of them really fit.
Well, then read one of them. How about that?
Oh, great.
Let's do that.
In Kid Rock's audience is almost as bad, if not worse than Kid Rock news. The audience attending a Kid Rock concert recently was left disappointed and unfulfilled after more than 2 hours of watching Night Ranger as the opening act while waiting for Mr. Rock to show up and perform. Eventually, an officer from the Ward County Sheriff's Department took the stage and announced that the headliner had to cancel his performance in Minot, North Dakota due to, quote, high winds. As you would do in a concert venue when you learn that the headliner was trapped in his private jet back in what I assume is Los Angeles due to high winds, they began ripping the place apart.
As one does when Kid Rock does not appear.
Take that, Verizon Center. How dare you not let me have my Kid Rock with your high winds? I don't see the line. What other pointless violence news stories do you have, Tim?
Well, Garrett, in disgusting band-flavored food news this week, hot dog-flavored water is kind of a thing now.
What?
Hot dog-flavored hard seltzer is now a real beverage, just as Limp Bizkit sort of predicted. Martin House Brewing Company in Fort Worth, Texas, an establishment I have been to a number of times and am currently wearing a t-shirt from, has decided to make a 5.2% alcoholic beverage with water previously used to boil hot dogs, and for some reason, they have decided to call this beverage, and I'm quoting here, bun length. They also have a beer that is flavored of pickles and mustard, so I guess you drink those together or pour one on top of the other or something, but gross.
That's horrible.
But yeah, so my point is that Limp Bizkit, I think that was like a sexual thing, as buttholes and semen, I think was what the title of that album was. And now you can get it. Anyway, Garrett, do you have any banned food news? Would you like to tell us about, I don't know, Faygo ice cream?
We should make some phone calls.
Garrett, what other Faygo-related news? What other hot dog bun length?
Shut up. Well, Tim, in tragic irony news, aka be careful what you wish for news, on Saturday, July 23rd, rapper Rolly Bands was gunned down outside his home in Florida. Shortly before the murder, Rolly posted this on Instagram, with a small edit on the reader's part due to language. Quote, a lot of these fellas know where I live at, for real. I sleep in peace. If a fella wants smoke, I'm at my crib in 5 minutes. Shortly after he was gunned down in his crib.
Interesting.
By people who did, in fact, know where he lived, for real.
Now, do we know that they knew he was there because of the tweet specifically?
Well, no, but I do encourage the Florida Police Department to begin with his followers list as potential suspects. Who was watching his story on IG?
They can tell that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, I can tell that.
Don't.
I know.
Don't,
Yeah,
though.
I know what you do.
Don't,
I know what
though.
you do.
Nope.
Yeah. I thought for the longest time, I was shocked that because our DMs are shockingly clean. You guys are delightfully PG. I mean, occasionally you'll send us links to like really funny shit that's not so PG, but like it's not a bunch of creeps, etc.
Now, I think you're giving people bad ideas. Do not send us buttholes.
I wasn't specific. You just said butthole. I said creeps and was about to move on. You said butthole. I don't want to see anyone's butthole.
If you live in
That's
the
not
Fort
true.
Worth area, shoot
What?
us a DM and we'll
Why?
get you an address for some. Go over to Martin House because we might not be there for a while, but I want some hot
Go eat
dog
this
flavored
garbage.
water. No, send it to us.
Oh. Anyway, Timmy, what other news do you have?
Let's see. In David Crosby, Stephen Stills, and Graham Nash do not have as much money as Neil Young news, Dave, Steve, and G-Dog have officially put their music back on Spotify following their decision to pretend to care about Joe Rogan being on Spotify after Neil Young pulled his music off. The band members, in a joint statement, said they agreed with Young's concerns of Rogan spreading quote-unquote dangerous disinformation about the COVID-19 pandemic through the podcast. They said, while we always value alternative points of view, knowingly spreading disinformation during this global pandemic has deadly consequences. Until real action is taken to show that a concern for humanity must be balanced with commerce, we don't want our music or the music we made together to be on the same platform. Now it's coming back this week, I believe, and they said that they were going to donate streaming proceeds to COVID-19 charities for, and I quote, at least a month. It's a hell of a
Great.
protest, guys. But, Garrett, I mean, they probably are all hurting for money.
Yeah, they're probably pretty destitute. Hand him. Well, actually, David Crosby. Well, he just sold his music library prior to that moment.
Yeah.
He might have actually been a little. Like, didn't he sell his seed to Melissa Etheridge at one point?
Wouldn't you?
I needed him. I'd give it to her.
Right. But
Come through my window.
here's the thing you don't know
I'll
about
be
Melissa
home soon.
Etheridge.
She'll take it.
No. She wants it to be transactional. I don't know why.
Yeah, she doesn't feel right if she doesn't pay you something for it.
Yeah.
Respect the hell out of that woman. Anyway.
Do you have any more news, Garrett?
I have a bunch of shit about Bruce Springsteen and Ticketmaster, but I don't really care, do you?
Nope.
Great. That brings us to the part of the show where we announce what album we are going to be talking about here in a week's time. So, Timmy, take me through it. What album got picked from the Pick-O-Meter?
We picked Goo Goo Dolls' Dizzy Up the World. I don't know what that means.
So why don't you slide?
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Run away, run away, run away. Yikes. I'm familiar.
This is one of those albums where you know every lyric to the songs, but you've never thought about any of them, and they're all horrifying.
Well, yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. This is a true Inception situation because I have never once sat down to listen to any Goo Goo Dolls that wasn't on a soundtrack to Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Warriors. So I don't know how I know these songs, but as I just belted out, Tim, I think I know all of them.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you what any of them are about yet. All right, Timbo, that pretty much does it. As always, folks, you can find most episodes, I guess, maybe, on hatepod.com. There's also a contact us in the upper left-hand corner. You click on that, it asks for an email, and we reply to you, and we want to hear from you. You can also email us directly at hatepodmail@gmail.com, and we will get back to you. It takes us a little bit of time, but by God, we'll do it. And please do let us know what you're into, what you're enjoying from the show, requests, thoughts, ideas, theories. We want to hear about them. Stories related to this music. We want to hear from you. Also, keep the art, the songs, the remixes, the samples, the segues, the segments coming. All those submissions, all those S's. We want to have them, and if they're good enough, they'll make their way into the show. Hell, our show art is a listener, and we thank her greatly. So that could be you. Not necessarily that, but submit a new theme song, some new art, at the very least, you'll see it pop up on Instagram, and you'll get a little WIHTA love. Who doesn't enjoy that? Comes with a free wet nap. You can also find us on Instagram, that's HatePod. On Twitter, album HatePod. I'm G Harvey Tweets on Twitter, though by and large, you're not going to see a lot of exciting shit out of me personally, but if you want to talk about music or movies or whatever the fuck we talked about on this episode, feel free to reach out. I'll gab your face off. We got the subreddits. We've got a Discord server. A link to join the Discord servers in our Twitter feed, so that's permalink. Finally figured out how that works. So as many people as you want can join that. I think a whole bunch of people did. I don't know. We're out there from time to time answering your questions, checking in on on the discussions, looking at your recommendations, so keep them coming. For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other host, Timothy P. Richardson, and on March 28th, 2016, in a rare moment of genuine self-reflection, Garrett P. Harvey said, "I've become the dung beetle of humanity."
Oh God, I did.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.